What's going on, guys? As promised, I am back with another Record Store Day themed video. This one is going to be talking about my favorite pickups over the entirety of Record Store Day since I started going in 2015. So, Record Store Day is a very special time, as we all know. This year it's a little different, and if you didn't see my video, I talk about how it's changed a bit in the scope of what's happening in 2020. That being said, there are some excellent buys you can get at Record Store Day, and there are some flops that you should try to avoid, and sometimes you won't know until it's too late. If you haven't already, it'd be awesome if you'd like this video, hit the red subscribe button, and turn your bell notifications on so you don't miss out on any weekly videos I put out. This video I'm highlighting some of my favorite things that have definitely held up, whether they were great buys because they rose in value, or they're awesome pressings that get a lot of spin time on the turntable. So let me show you what I got. Starting off with Robyn Body Talk. So this is actually not the full Robyn record that has a lot of her biggest hits, but it's just kind of a, not quite a compilation, just like a selection. I don't quite know what they did with this in terms of why it's not just the regular album, but I think it sounds great, and Robyn is one of the greatest pop artists of our generation. It comes on this awesome white vinyl, and the actual packaging is really, really nice too. This has become kind of hard to find, but gatefold is definitely a missed opportunity. This almost seems like it was a mistake. But that being said, the music speaks for itself. Then we got Phish, Billy Breathes. I was audibly excited the year I saw this on the RSD list. This is my favorite Phish record, and I am not a Phish fanatic. I've never seen them live, even though I'd like to. And their studio stuff for me is very hit or miss. Billy Breathes is a perfect album that it has the elements of the jam band, but it also is just really impressive, kind of occasionally jazzy, indie rock. That's basically what it feels like to me, and a lot of these songs are some of my favorite songs that they've ever done. Prince Caspian and Free, the opener and the closer, are both amazing, and this is the first time that Billy Breathes was ever on vinyl. It took them long enough. A lot of their other records were on vinyl well before this, but this one was skipped for some reason. They were waiting for it to be special, I suppose. It is foil numbered, the Record Store Day one, because they did do a release after the fact that was not numbered, but both are getting kind of hard to find. So I was very excited to see this album. This was the only one I really thought I needed on vinyl, even though at this point now I have Junta, I have Story of the Ghost, I think that might be it. The National, Boxer, live in Brussels. The National is, as you guys know, my favorite band, and Boxer was my introduction to their music. This was a show they did in Brussels where they played Boxer front to back live, which I think they've only done twice, and I believe this was the first time they did it. Boxer was the introduction for a lot of people to this band. It's kind of where they started getting a lot of acclaim in the indie blogs and started getting a little bit of like play on those indie radio stations. Boxer, for me, like I said, it was my intro to the band, so it's very special to me. It's my second favorite of their albums, right behind Alligator. And this is such a great pressing. The live show sounds so crisp. It's just, you get some of those flourishes that Matt does live versus the album, such as in Squalor Victoria. He tends to yell a little more. In the album, it's a little more subdued. So it's nice to see those kind of changes, even though this is fairly faithful overall to the album listen. I also just love how amazing this cover is. It's this rainbow foil jacket. Really nice touch on the front and back. I mean, these guys are just class acts through and through. And it is on clear wax. This was one of my favorite pickups, and I know this is one that immediately shot up in value after, and it's still pretty hard to find. Nas, Illmatic, live from the Kennedy Center and the National Symphony Orchestra. Didn't want to mess that one up. Nas is an amazing rapper, and this whole package, from the sound to the actual quality of the recording to the visuals and the aesthetics of the jacket itself, blew me out of the water. This was such a nice release. So you have these gold flourishes on the spine, on the back, just like really beautifully done. There's a great picture of Nas performing in the gatefold, and there's some posters in here that are pretty gigantic. I feel like the discs could have been on gold vinyl, just to kind of keep that golden aesthetic flowing, but it's unnecessary. Even the inner sleeves have this gold leaf on it. This is just him performing pretty late into his career. This happened in 2014. He performs the entirety of Illmatic, and it is with an orchestra, so it really brings out the musicianship of the album that isn't necessarily shown on the recorded album. That's pretty stripped back. The beats are pretty mellow. The orchestra kind of breathes new life into this album, where the lyrics are kind of the driving force. Now they kind of mix in well with the orchestra to bring a fully cohesive musical experience, which I thought was awesome, and I think a lot of hip-hop albums would benefit from this kind of orchestral treatment. Late Orchestration by Kanye West is the first I think of that really elevates his live performance to a new level when you hear the orchestra behind him, and he's rapping so hard on that release. He's not just doing the thing that rappers unfortunately do, where they just kind of rap their big lines and the hooks and then let the audience do the rest. Nas raps super hard on this album. I think this was just an awesome release that I was happy they decided to press. Pearl Jam, MTV Unplugged. This was another one that I, before Record Store Day, made a video saying, everyone's gonna be able to get this. This is gonna be super easy. There's like 12,000 copies. It'll be fine. I eat those words because this was the hottest item of the year, which is fair because Pearl Jam is one of the best bands of all time. This was their famous MTV Unplugged performance. It is the only time it's been pressed on vinyl officially. There is a bootleg that actually does have an extra little bit that this version doesn't, but this version sounds better than the bootleg. I can say safely, having heard both because I own both. This was extremely hard to find. Like within days of Record Store Day, this was going for $100+ on Discogs, and I think to this day it's still hovering around there. So was really happy to grab this. This is an essential Unplugged performance along with Alice in Chains and Stone Temple Pilots and Nirvana. The grunge guys really tore this era up when it came to MTV Unplugged, and Pearl Jam are absolutely no exception. Speaking of grunge, we have Alice in Chains live Facelift. Just before filming this video, they just announced that I'm extremely excited for everyone who does not have a chance to own it. They're giving Facelift a deluxe edition because it just had its 30th anniversary. It has not been on vinyl since the year it came out, and I was lucky enough, if you guys watch all my videos, to see that I got that amazing promo Facelift by chance at Amoeba, one of my best finds of all time. But most people don't have the chance to own Facelift except for a bootleg that sounds pretty bad. I have it. Not very good. The new deluxe one, I have faith, is going to be incredible, but live Alice in Chains is also where this band truly shines, and this is one of the few live recordings of the band that isn't a bootleg. This is one of the ones that's been actually put out by the band themselves. It features some of the biggest names from Facelift. It has Man in the Box, Bleed the Freak, Sea of Sorrow, and then some other kind of deeper cuts from the album. This is a really solid live performance, and I'm really happy I got it. I will say I was a little irked that they decided to put out a red vinyl version of this after Record Store Day. It wasn't offensive enough to make me upset about this buy, because both are still extremely hard to find, but this is a must-have live EP. Green Day, live at Woodstock, 1994. Another awesome live recording. This is Green Day in their prime. This is the Dookie era. This is the stuff where they were really firing on all cylinders. I mean, this track list, I wish I could have been at this show, but this track list has so much energy when they're playing it live. It starts with Welcome to Paradise, and then they hit you with heavy hitters throughout, like Longview, Basket Case, When I Come Around, FOD, which is my favorite Green Day song, and it's just such a powerful set. I wish this was a longer performance. This was an awesome get, and this should have been on green vinyl too. I don't know what y'all were thinking for Record Store Day, but use your head. Pink Floyd, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, the mono edition. So Pink Floyd is an amazing band, as you guys know. Most people know at least Dark Side of the Moon, but this is the early era. This is their first record when Syd Barrett was still part of the band, and a lot of his strange psychedelic tendencies really poured through on those first two records in particular. This is in my top 3 Pink Floyd records of all time, right up there with Dark Side and Animals. This is a great version of it. It's a mono version, and it sounds phenomenal. A lot of the recent Pink Floyd remasters do sound excellent, specifically Dark Side and Animals. I actually heard Metal sounds really good too, and the final cut is supposed to sound fantastic. The remasters from, I think, 2016-17. This in particular is a great mono version. I have other versions. I have an original stereo, and I have this really weird bootleg box set that has a lenticular cover and 5 discs of demos and outtakes from this. I'm kind of a fan of this album. That being said, this was surprisingly one of the harder ones to get that year, and it still is pretty hard. It comes in this really cool kind of open like slip case, but it does have the original cover in here, which is nice for you purists. If this helps you realize what this album is, this cover is pretty iconic. I'm really glad that I was able to grab this because this is just an amazing album that deserves all the possible versions of it that you can own. Next up, we have the Lost in Translation soundtrack. Obviously, iconic cover. The amount of artists on here that are incredible is the reason why this soundtrack has held and grown in value since the release. There was a release when it first came out, and then a ton of bootlegs. I think there was a bootleg picture disc and a bunch of different colored bootlegs that all sounded pretty bad. I picked one up on Amoeba once. It was bad. But this soundtrack has Kevin Shields of My Bloody Valentine. It has Square Pusher, Phoenix, Air, Jesus and Mary Chain. So many great artists comprise this record, and this is one of the ones that was one of the hotter ones this year, and it has yet to be repressed, so the prices are sky high. I think it's over $200 now. It comes with this really cool translucent purple. So yeah, this is a great sounding soundtrack, and the list of bands is just wonderful. So if you can track this down, I definitely recommend doing so. And the last one I'm going to talk about, I'm scouring my room for it and I cannot find it. I know it's here. These are the trials and tribulations when you have too many records. That being said, it is the Poncier Tape, which is basically a 5-song EP done by Cliff Poncier, one of the main characters in the movie Singles, who is basically Chris Cornell. And a lot of the songs are songs that went on to be Chris Cornell solo songs in his regular catalog when he did shows and in compilations, including Flutter Girl, Missing, Spoon Man, which is one of Soundgarden's greatest hits. It's such a good tape, and Cornell was the one that actually recorded them for the movie. But it's just cool because the character is supposed to be the character's music, and it's Chris Cornell doing the character's music, and the character was homage to Cornell. Just a really cool little thing from the Seattle grunge scene back in the day. And they did the Poncier Tape on vinyl. I have it. I don't know where it is. I gotta find it. So those are my favorite things I've ever picked up since I started doing Record Store Day. Leave a comment and let me know what your favorite things are that you picked up at Record Store Day over the years. I'd love to hear if we have the same thing or if I missed out on something I probably should have got. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.